Hare Krishna, my Lord, we can start now.
All right. Now I'm Vishnu Padya Krishna, Kusaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Chinarana Saraswati Gauravan Kushai. Miri Vishesa Sonya Badi Pasta Chati Satai. Come again. Mirandasya Gyanandana Sarafai Chakshurali Chambil Kashnasi Gurave Namaha Chaitanya Manu Bisam Stapitam Jana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padam Bhakti Swapadam Tika Vandam Sri Gurun Sri Papadakam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupa Sagadatan Sahaganara Kapitam Sajiva Sadhutam Sadhutam Harijana Saitam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Yasri He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tata Kanchana Radhe Vrindavaneshwara Dusavana Sute Devi Kanamani Madhi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Isopanisad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Isopanisad mantra 15. Hiranmayena patrena satyashyapihitam mukam tatvam pusham apadenu satyadhara maya drishtaya. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, the real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure youth. In mantras 12, 13, 14, describe the necessity of understanding Krishna in relationship with his material energy. Mantra 50 explains that one must also understand Krishna's relationship with his spiritual potency, the Brahmajyoti, in order to achieve realization of him. Not only understanding Krishna's relationship with his material energy, but wants to also understand Krishna in relationship with his spiritual potency, like the Brahmajyoti. So, impersonal form versus personal form. So, we'll look at Krishna's position and how can we see this position of Krishna. We're going to look at these two things. Krishna's position and how we can also see this position of Krishna. Yes, Bhagavad Gita 14:27. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal and imperishable, eternal, a constitutional possession of ultimate happiness. 4:27. That's the end of chapter 14. Location is a source of Brahma-jyoti. That means that it is different from the Brahma-jyoti because the Brahma-jyoti is coming from him. Like the person and the fulgence of the person. The fulgence is coming from the person. So the fulgence is part of the person because it's coming from the person. And they are not separate. Like the waves of the ocean, you cannot separate the two. Although they are the same, but the wave cannot exist without the ocean. So, in this verse, Prabhupada quoted here explains that Krishna is the source of the impersonal Brahman. Brahma-jyoti is the dazzling effulgence of his personal form. That is Krishna. The ocean and the waves of the ocean. The waves of the ocean is very powerful. But if you remove the ocean, you will not have the waves. But the wave is dependent on the ocean. Also in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 42, Krishna explained that he is the source of all pervading Dharma. Krishna is the source. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are three angles of vision of the same absolute truth. Brahman is the face of the absolute truth, most perceptible to the beginner. Paramatma is the face of the absolute truth for those who have progressed. And Bhagavan is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. This is confirmed in the Gita, where the Lord says that he is the ultimate concept of the absolute truth. He is a source of the majority, as well as the all-pervading Paramatma future. That is clear. He is the ultimate concept of the absolute truth. So by his one plenary expansion, it comes to Jagat. The all-pervading Paramatma, the Lord, maintains the complete material cosmic creation. Yes. So that is Krishna's position. He's the ultimate concept of absolute truth. Ultimate. Krishna is the ultimate. As he says that he is the ultimate, he is the word of the Brahma-jyoti, or impersonal conception of truth. So also, He says in the Gita that there is no need of explaining his unlimited potency. He can be summarized in short that by his one plenty portion, the all-pervading Paramatma, he maintains the complete material cosmic creation. 36. And in the spiritual world also, he maintains all manifestations. Therefore, in the Sutri mantra of Isopanisad, he is addressed as Pushan, the ultimate mentor. Pushan. Krishna is Pushan. Filled with transcendental bliss. Krishna is filled with transcendental bliss. The personality of God, Sri Krishna, is always full with transcendental bliss. When he was present at Vrindavan in India 5,000 years ago, he always remained in transcendental bliss, even from the beginning of his childhood existence. The killing of varieties of demons, such as Bhakti, Putana, and Columba, were also pleasure excursions for him. It was not like a difficult thing. It is not stressful. Krishna doesn't have the exact energy to pray to some demigod to call him to give him some energy to do it. Just like a child does not have that energy to operate on emotion. It's not difficult to do. It's a play. Or for an elephant to roll a sugarcane while spotting. It's not too difficult. So killing of various demons, like Agashura, Bakasura, Putana, Suri, Columbus, yeah, but let's say question. So he played the role of a naughty butterfly and enjoyed himself to the fullest extent. Why not? Well, Krishna created these pastimes. He did it to attract the dry speculators, and the acrobat of the so-called Hatha Yoga system, who waits to find the unfruitful. That is Krishna's costlessness. This is his costless places. Such manifestations were created by him to attract the dry speculators in the transcendental line, as well as the acrobats of the so-called yoga, Hatha Yoga system, trying to find the apple. Of the childhood play of the Lord, which his playmate, the cowherd boy, Swami in the Srimad Bhagavatam said, the personality of Godhead, who is perceived as the impersonal Brahman of bliss, who is worshipped as the Supreme Lord by the devotees, and who is considered an ordinary human being by the mundane, played with the cowherd boys who had achieved that position, having a huge accumulation of qualities. Thus the Lord is ever engaged in transcendental loving activities along with his spiritual associates in a various relationships, contact, calmness, dansya, servitorship, sakya, friendship, vatsalya, paternal affection, madhurya, ambivalence. Yes. Yes. So this is the position of Krishna. He pervades all the material creation by his plenary parts, known as a Purusha incarnation. The Lord has nothing to do with material creation, maintenance, and destruction, but he causes it to be done by his plenary expansion. This Paramatma or super-soul. Every living entity is known as Atman, soul. The principal Atma who controls them all is Paramatma. He is Atma and the Para. Yes. How do we see this Supreme Lord? How do we see? Penetrate beyond the 24 elements. The materialistic Sankhya yogis fail in doing so, as they can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation. But they have very little information of the Purusha. If we want to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. See, Isopanisad hint at this direction, praying for removal of the hidden Maya Pakra, the dazzling covering. Unless this covering is removed, and unless one can perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is, factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved. The Brahma Jyoti covers Krishna. So a devotee is not interested in Brahma Jyoti. So a devotee is praying to Lord Krishna to remove it. Remove it so we can be able to see you. We want to see you directly. It is you want to see. The Prophet said, unless that is done, unless one can perceive the Supreme Personality of God, he is, as he is, factual realization and absolute truth can never be achieved. So we have to beg the Lord, to pray for the Lord to remove the glaring influence, so we can see him directly. But those who are simply satisfied with this glaring effulgence and thinking that that is all and all, they will not be able to see. They will not be able to penetrate. They will hover over the real thing. Only those who pray will have the opportunity to go over this. Have to go beyond the glaring effulgence, which is Isopanisad is superhit. Sri Krishna Bhagavan is a root of Paramatma and the Brahman. This knowledge can be gained from such scriptures as Srimad Bhagavatam, which perfectly elaborate the science of Krishna. Yes. Therefore, both Brahman and Paramatma realization of the absolute truth are partial realizations. But when one realizes the Supreme Personality of God as Sri Krishna in full potency, after the removal of the hidden Maya Patra, as is prayed for in this mantra, then he realizes that Vasudeva Savamiti, Lord Sri Krishna, known as Vasudeva, is everything. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Is Bhagwan the root? And Brahman and Paramatma are his branches. The Bhagavad Gita is a comparative analysis of the three grades of transcendentalists, known as Gyanis, the worshippers of the impersonal Brahman, the Yogis, or worshippers of the Paramatma future, and Bhaktas, or devotees of the absolute truth. It is stated in the Gita that amongst all types of transcendentalists, one is the Jnani, who have cultured the Vedic knowledge, the secret. Yet the Yogis are still more than Jnanis. The Yogis are far superior to effective workers at work. And amongst all kinds of Yogis, the one who constantly serves the Lord with all his energy is topmost. So the summary is that a philosopher is better than a laboring man. And a mystic is far superior to a philosopher. And all the mystic yogis, one who is following Bhakti yoga, who is constantly engaged in the service of the Lord, is the highest. So Isopanisad directs us towards this perfection of life. So that's the end of 15. We'll go for 16. Mantra 16. Any comment or question there? So we proceed to 16. All right. Mantra 16. Ushani Akarasi Yamasurya Bharati Patya. Yuharasmin Samaha Teja. Jatirupam Kalyana Tamam Patra Pashami. Usavaso Purushasu Amansi. O Lord of Lords, O remembered philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun, as I am. So mantra 16 continues the prayer of mantra 15 for the Lord to reveal his spiritual form. So here also we'll look at it. Impersonal versus the personal form of Krishna in two ways. View her as mean, kindly remove the rest. So we can be able to see the Bhagwan. Devotee is praying to Krishna. The Brahmajyoti. The sun and the sun rays are one and the same qualitatively. Similarly, the Lord and the living entities are one and the same in quality. The sun is one, but the molecules of the sun rays are innumerable. The sun's rays constitute part of the sun, and the sun and its rays conjointly are the complete sun. Within the sun planet, there is the sun god. Similarly, within the supreme spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavan, on which the effulgent Brahmajyoti is emanating, he is the Lord, he is the eternal Lord, as is stated in the Brahma Samhita. So here, the sun god is compared to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. The sun globe is compared to Goloka Vrindavan. The sunshine is compared to Brahmajyoti. And the sun rays are compared to living entities who are one in quality but not in quantity. There is a person behind the impersonal effulgence, which we have already mentioned. So, seeing he is addressed as the premier philosopher, Ekar Se, and maintainer, Pushan, and well-wisher of the universe, Prajapatya, the supreme truth cannot be impersonal. Just a minute. What is that? See the noise from your side. It's increasing my system. So Krishna is a primary philosopher. He is the well-wisher of the universe, Prajapatya. Ekarse Pushan Prajapatya. He is the supreme truth. So the supreme absolute percent of God cannot be impersonal. Zero does not have quality. What is the quality of zero? Nothing. So nothing cannot be a maintainer. This is quality. Only an object will have quality. That is true. So the personal aspect is the most auspicious. Christian expression. Kalyana Dharmam, most auspicious. Padmatma, more auspicious. Brahmajyoti, auspicious. So Brahmajyoti is auspicious. Paramatma is more auspicious. And personal Bhagwan is what? Most auspicious, superior. Because everything is coming from the Supreme Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of God. That is Krishna's position. The transcendental abode of Lord Krishna is the land of those stones, of which the houses are built, shaded by desire trees. The Lord is engaged there in heading the Surabika and is always sorry. He said that one fully maintains as a guardian is called Bhagwan. Bhaga. 1, 3. So when you add Bha to Ga and plus Ban, it means he who lives in every being and every being lives in him, Bhagwan. He is a guide, he is a leader, and he's the creator. The transcendental sound, Bhagwan, represents infinite knowledge, potency, energy, opulence, strength, and influence, all without a tinge of material inequity. This is Krishna, Bhagawan, Bhagawan. He is supreme. That is a difference, and the Prophet will say, Nityo Nityanam Chitana Chitananam Ekubahunam Dubhirati Kamam. That is Krishna's position. We are the maintained, and Krishna is the maintainer. We cannot maintain ourselves, but Krishna maintains everyone. Therefore, he is the supreme maintainer, and we are being maintained by him. So a question can be raised. Is God a living entity the same because we are Nitya Nityanam, Chetana Chetananam? So as me, Madhvacharya explained. So he, the Supreme Personality, he who cannot be discarded. He is situated in all beings because of regard for the Jiva's eternal existence. Location has natural fatherly affection for maintaining the living entities. So, although we are eternal like him, we are conscious like him. He is the unlimited conscious person, unlimited maintainer, unlimited eternal, and we are the limited eternal, limited conscious. We are limited, we are conscious. Our consciousness is limited to our size. So Krishna is unlimited to his size. Unlimited. It's unlimited. So it's not the same. It is not the same. So how must we? The supreme conscious entity or the Lord within the Son indicate. The word aham indicates. Through the jiva, the Paramatma within the jiva, since Paramatma is the soul of the jiva. Through the jiva, the Paramatma is within jiva. For what? To maintain, to take care. So we are what? The Paramatma dwelling within me is he who is that person in the Son. That is Krishna, not me. Not me. So we are different. We are different. We are different in quantity, but we are the same quality. That is our position. Yes. So when we have this perfect understanding about the absolute truth and pray for the Lord to remove the glaring effulgence, like the costless mercy of the Lord, He removed the cotton. Bhagavad Gita 7:25% says, use a cotton of Yogamaya to cut us from him. Only when he very pleased, with someone, that he will remove that covering. Then we can see Krishna's sweet personal form, full of bliss, eternality. The devotee pray as it's in this mantras. From 15 to 18, the same appeal to the Lord to remove the dazzling influence so we can see the Supreme Personality of God face to face. We move on to mantra 17. Mantra 17. Vayuru anilam amritam atedam basman tam sariram om kratu smara kritam smara Krakto smara kritam smara. So in this mantra 17, Shambhu Emmanuel emphasizes the understanding Krishna at the time of death. Understanding Krishna at the time of death. It is a prayer to the Lord to kindly remember our service to Him. Yes, Gurashekhar Maharaj that said that it is very difficult at that time. So the devotee must offer prayers to the Lord to remember our service. He did not mention here to remember our knowledge, our slokas. He did not mention here to remember our position. He did not mention here to remember, the Lord should remember our fame. It is mentioned here that the Lord should remember our service. That service connects us with Krishna, with the Guru, as we have said many times. Without service, there is no connection. So we should understand. Praying to the Lord to remember our service. The Lord should remember our service. That is our connection. The Lord not remembering our position, our whatever we may claim to be. He's remembering the service. So that is the connection we have with Krishna. Yes. The Lord is addressed as Kratu, sacrifice or intelligence, because He is the essence of sacrifice and knowledge. Aham Kratu, Aham Dagya. That defined in Bhagavad Gita 9:16. It is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice. So why repetition? Om Kratu, Smara Kritam, Smara Kratu, Smara Kritam Smara. Why is repetition? The Lord is petitioning the Lord. The devotee is petitioning the Lord to quickly do something. Is it the prayer of a pure devotee? The pure devotee has to pray like this. So Bhakti Thakur said, this is a prayer of liberation from the material world. And through such a prayer is not considered proper in pure bhakti. Such prayers for liberation are uttered in Gyan Mishra Bhakti, which is a door for pure service. In this mantra, there is remembrance of bhakti along with liberation. Since the beginning, this is not for a pure bhakti. This is for mixed devotee, transcending death, giving up material body, accepting spiritual body. For what? For the relationship with the Supreme Spirit. So three things we look in this mantra 17. How is material body created? According to the propensities for sanctification. It's according to our proclivity. Here in the material world, one has to change his body, forced by material nature, on account of his different desires for sense gratification. These desires are represented in the various species of life, from the germs to the most perfect natural bodies, those of Brahma and the demigods. All of these have bodies of matter in different shapes. An intelligent person says Oneness, not in the variety of bodies, but in the spiritual identity. So what happens after that? A living entity is not killed. We're not killed. The soul never gets killed. And the soul does not become formless. But the soul continues to exist. Different ways. But why do we always change the body? Why? Because of different desires for sanctification. Krishna is very kind. How does a yogi change his body? He controls the movement of the air in the body. He should raise the life air to Brahma Randra. And from there, he will transfer himself to another planet. So when does it stop? When the living entity enters into the spiritual atmosphere and develops a spiritual body, that is the end. So one will not have to change bodies and bodies and bodies again. And this is necessary. Oh, we surrender ourselves to Krishna. So when does one get spiritual body? When one accepts oneself as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and not the whole. When we surrender to Vasudeva and perfect our life by devotional service. How does one get it? By remembering the Lord at the time of death. By remembering the Lord at the time of death. What if one is not able to remember? What if I forget? So the prayer is here. The Lord does not forget, even if the living entity forgets. Therefore, the devotee is begging, please remember me at the time of death. The devotees, however, by practice of devotional service to the Lord, develops a sense of love for Godhead. And even if at the time of death, the devotee does not remember his godly service, the Lord does not forget him. This prayer is to remind the Lord about the devotee sacrifices. But even if there is no reminder, the Lord does not forget the devotional service of the pure devotee. So you don't have to worry. What if I did get the spiritual body? Due to desire for the lordship over material nature. So when one has desire to be one with the majority, we will not develop the spiritual body to go back to God. We will not get it. Yes. If one should accept a bona fide devotee who is on the right path of the saints, even though such a devotee may seem to lose character, one should try to understand the real import of the words, lose character. A conditioned soul has to act in doubtful functions. A conditioned soul has to act in double functions. Namely, one for the maintenance of the body and again for self-realization. Social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and the struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of the body. And a self-realization part of his activities is executed in his occupation as a devotee of the Lord. And he performs action in that connection also. These two different functions go along parallel lines. because the conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of the body. The proportion of activities for maintenance of the body decreases, however, in proportion to the increase in devotional service. And as long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance for an occasional exhibition of worldliness. But it should be noted that such worldliness cannot continue for any length of time, because by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. Therefore, the path of devotional service is the only right path. Being on the right path, even an occasional occurrence of worldliness does not hamper one in advancement of self-realization. This is opportunity. It is only in Christian consciousness that one has this opportunity. This facility is not available for the Karmis, for the yogis, for the dhyanis. This facility is only available for the devotees. Because Christians take special interest for this, in taking care of the devotees. Christians take special care, very special care for the devotees. So devotees are secured in all circumstances. One who is engaged in devotional service, despite the most abominable action, he shall be considered saintly because he is rightly situated. Very shortly does he become righteous and attain to lasting peace. O son of Kunti, it is my promise, and my devotee will never perish. O son of Prita, anyone who will take shelter in me, whether a woman or a merchant or born in a low family, can yet approach the supreme destination. How much greater then are the Brahmanas, the righteous, the devotees, and saintly kings in this miserable world? These are fixed in devotional service to the Lord, engaged in my service, and surrender unto me, completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. This is Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, verse 30 to 30. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yes. So we have the 9 limbs of Bhakti, 9 limbs of devotional service. This is a facility for devotees. But why is it not available for the non-devotees? Why is it not available? Christian every time, why is it not available? Because these Mayavadis, they do not believe in the personal features of the Lord. So how can they have service for nothing? They are busy with word jugglery and mental speculation. And they are attached to impersonal duty. Therefore, they are bereft for the benefit they get from practicing the 9 virtues of Bhakti. They're not available for them. So how intimate is the relationship with a devotee have with the Supreme Lord? A devotee never perishes even if he or she engages in an abominable act or takes place in a long family. We have histories that covers all this. We have history that covers all this. We have many histories, bona fide histories, scientific histories of all this. Why does the Lord not reject such a devotee? Why? A devotee who has misbehaved. Why Krishna not? Because the devotee is fixed in determination. It is not that one is acting whimsically or get the benefit like that. No, it is for a devotee who is fixed. Accidental first fall down will not impede the progress of a devotee who is fixed in determination. Krishna is always there for his devotees. Always. So we have this wonderful chance. As devotional service, we will experience wellness and will decrease proportionately. When we engage in devotional service, we will experience the Krishna's mercy, and the potency of the practice would decreases proportionately. How we surrender to Krishna, how we continue to make advancement. And the imperfections will end shortly. It is just a matter of time, just a time. Everything will finish. Krishna will take care of everything. Yes. So in the 9 process of Bhakti, we begin from hearing. Maharaj Parikshit is perfect example for hearing. Sukadev Goswami for glorifying. Praying is Sakura. Remembering is Prahlad Maharaj. Worshipping is Prithu Maharaj. Serving the lotus feet in Lakshmi Devi. Running personal services Hanuman. Arjuna, friendship. Surrendering everything is Maharaj. So we have example of those who have done this in the past perfectly and have attained the result. Therefore, prophets advise us. One should therefore not indulge in hearing and speaking of rubbish activities of worldly politicians and the so-called big men of society, but one should so mold his life that not a second is wasted without engagement in godly activities. You see, these prophets mention it here in Isopanisad, mention it in Bhagavad Gita, mention it in Bhagavad. We should mold our life in such a way that we remain Krishna conscious 24 hours. So Isopanisad does direct us towards such activities. Unless one is accustomed to this devotional practice, what will he remember at the time of death when the body is dislocated? And how can he pray to the Almighty Lord to remember his sacrifices? Sacrifice means sacrificing the interests of the senses. One has to learn this act by employing the senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime, so that one can utilize the result at the time of death. It is what we practice that we're going to remember at the time of death. We're not going to remember anything which we have not practiced. It doesn't go like that. We're going to remember the things we have practiced. So now we have to practice this. Now we are at the mantra 18. This is the last one. Prayer for Lord to guide us on the path to reach Him.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Nathalie.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, we are free.
Here it is stated that we should do the devotional service to the Lord, but which is every time we can't go to the temple, which is important or effective. Like we can do the service in the temple is most good, or we can do our deities in the house is like, you understand, that we have to give the service in the temple most, or we can do the service in the house also is okay.
We should do services in the house, and at the same time, we should also have service in the temple. Even though we have deities in the house, which is good, it is compulsory for householders to have deities in the house because we are going to offer our food to Krishna before eating. And it will help us to be focusing on Krishna because we are going to think about Krishna. Krishna becomes one of our children in the house. So that will take our attraction to Krishna instead of focusing it in the house only and have another material body. So yeah, we should have deities in the house to do that. And we should have time for the deities in the temple. We should have service in the temple. That is where we have the strength. It is our temple that will have the strength to do our bhakti in our house. Without the temple, we cannot do bhakti alone. So the temple where we are getting our maintenance, our spiritual maintenance, we should give attention to the temple. We should do some service in the temple. Even if you live far from the temple, we should arrange ourselves. As Prabhupada mentioned, we should mold ourselves to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours. That means we plan. When I should have service in the temple, when I should have the service in the house. We should plan it.
And one more thing, that here it is said that material things, it will not going to help while the time of death.
Yes.
But we are here, like we can't just leave everything. We have to connect it with the outside world also.
Yes.
So we can't remember Krishna. According to that, we are doing everything, the devotional service also. It will not help us even if we are in the material world. Like, do you understand? Do you get my point?
Yes. I understand you. As a devotee who has service in the temple, we have service in the house, we are doing our sadhana every day and keeping to the greater principles. So our activities are considered devotional. Even if you are working in office, in factory, the Prabhupada said some of the Hare Krishna devotees are working in factory, in offices, in some places. Whatever they earn, they give to Krishna. They are highly renounced. They are also sannyasis. So it is not that we must do the service in the temple alone. As we have read from the mantra 17, we have the need to maintain this body, and to maintain this body, we have to do some work. So in the process of doing this work, as a devotee, all that we do, it is within bhakti because it ends in Krishna. So we are protected. While we are doing our different duties in offices, which are not a direct book distribution or preaching or cooking for Krishna or do something. But because we are devotees and we are doing all those things which is helping us to practice our Krishna consciousness, it is also devotional. The work is not devotional, but the result of what we do, we're going to get the paid from that. And we're going to use that to serve the Krishna to maintain ourselves. So it is devotional. It is connected with Krishna. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So we are not bereft of a devotional service if we are devotees and we are working outside. You can have factory, you can have a business to do. That does not mean we are not devotees. Because at the end, the result of our work we use to serve Christ. So it is devotional.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. So the last mantra 18. Mantra
Hare
18 is
Krishna.
the concluding prayer of the devotee who desires to achieve the Lord's mercy. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, please have our best.
Your network is not so good. I cannot hear you clearly.
As my humble service. Please accept my humble service. Okay. I'm sorry. Krishna Raj.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to.
Please have a humble stance. I have a coin who is not enrolling with. It's very tough. But I just want to understand something from it. Our Christian brothers, they do baptize with water. But we search Bhakti. We will do sacrifice. Because I want to.
I cannot hear you. I cannot hear.
I'm saying, Krishna.
Prabhuji, network is not good.
Okay. Okay, you can come. You can come.
You can write it down.
You can come.
Better you write
carry
it.
Okay, come, please. Maharaj, you can carry on.
Okay. Prayers for Lord to guide us on the path to reach Him. This is mantra 18. The devotee is offering prayers of the devotee offering prayers to desire to achieve the Lord's mercy. You want the Lord's mercy. Without the Lord's mercy, you can't do anything. So Prabhupada said the Lord is addressed as fire because He can burn anything into ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. Baldev Bhushan said, many times that we offer respect to you in order to become pure. We cannot repay you for responding to our desires. All we can do is offer repeated respect. So we are praying to the Lord for His mercy. So after praying for a direct vision of the Lord, which is in verse 15 and 16, the devotee prays for liberation to the Lord, addressed as fire. Prabhupada said, the fire burns anything into ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. So we are praying to the Lord to burn our sins to ashes, to free us completely. So this prayer is very, very necessary. The part of self-realization is mantra 18. How to progress, or the part of falling down, and also the best part. When is it possible only human form of life. And when the Brahmanical culture is followed, so how do we make progress? Surrender completely to the Lord, and we should always pray for his mercy, like here. So always pray for the mercy. Because there is a danger at every step in this world. Deviation from the regulative principles of Vedas create big karma. Big karma. Deviation will bring reaction, sinful reactions. So why do we do it? Why do we sin? It is due to a desire for self-gratification. That is the problem. So while we are practicing, trying to be a devotee, we should be also careful about deviation. When does one fall down? One falls down only when there is pride of birth. The pride. When one neglects to acquire the necessary biomedical qualification, we are thinking that by birthright, we have become superior. We have discussed many times. A doctor one does not become a doctor because he's born a doctor father and mother. One has to go to medical college to become a doctor. So by birth, it does not make one qualify for anything. You can only facilitate one possible. Therefore, we have to check that. We should check that. To avoid the pride of having taken birth in a good family. Should avoid that. And to avoid a neglect to acquire necessary biomedical qualification. We should practice our devotional service very carefully, rigidly, very carefully, diligently. So is there any hope for falling now? Those who fall down? Yes. Krishna will give us a birth in a rich family, a birth in a good Brahmana family, depending on how or what was the quality of our practice. Depends on the quality of our practice. Krishna will place us either in a rich family or in a Brahmana family. I find in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, text 41 to 42. Yes. What is the remedial measure after fall? How can we get ourselves back? Surrender to the Lord, accepting the directions given by the Lord. Taking shelter of the spiritual master and devotees, and following the scriptural rules and regulations. We will become rectified. Because devotional service is superior to all the parts. Once you surrender right in the beginning, not gradually. That is the ultimate. That's the ultimate. So even if one cannot do that, at least there is a chance we can do it gradually. People also say that many times. Devotional service surpasses all preliminary stages. It's a high promotion, but that should be carefully understood. It surpasses all preliminary stages. So we should know that if we are not careful, we'll have difficulties. The Lord personally takes charge of the devotees. Yes. So we should appreciate that. If you don't appreciate it, we also have difficulties. One becomes freed from all sinful reactions by taking seriously to Krishna consciousness, but not one who is whimsical about devotional service. One gets all good qualifications of the Lord himself. Yes, that is what devotional service do. If it is superior to all parts, and even a dog eater can become qualified as a Brahmana. That is correct. Bhagavad Gita 10:10. And Bhagavad Gita 18:6. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita 18:6. 6. Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Special support for sincere devotees here. The directions from within the heart. Krishna does that for his devotees. Protection from wrong acts and rectification of mistakes from within. Krishna does all these things to help the devotees. So Krishna consciousness is the best part of all the parts. It is the best part. And nothing compared to this. The entire process of reaching ultimate perfection begins from hearing and chanting. By doing that, it cleanses all undesirable things from it. It makes one to become more fixed upon the Lord. Our devotion becomes more fixed upon the Lord. And it helps also to acquire Brahminical qualities, which is the effect of lower mode. The effect of lower mode is completely vanished. Completely vanished. The effect is completely vanished. One becomes fully enlightened by virtue of Bhakti. And one comes to know the part of love. One comes to know. And then one becomes a pure devotee of Krishna. This is from Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, page 17 to 20. The entire process of reaching ultimate perfection begins from hearing and chanting. That keeps our heart very clean from all undesirable things. Our devotion becomes very fixed upon the Lord and helps us to acquire Brahminical qualifications. And how do we know that? We know that when the effect of lower mode completely vanished. So we have mentioned many times we should measure our Krishna consciousness to see where we are in our Krishna consciousness. It's very important. So by this, one becomes enlightened, fully enlightened by virtue of Bhakti. And one comes to know the path of the Lord. One comes to understand Krishna, and eventually, what happens? One becomes a pure devotee of Krishna. This is the process. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Comments? Questions? Kumara Prabhu, is your network clear now? I want to ask a question.
No, he has left.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think we can end it here. We have come to the end of the Isopanisad for this time.
I woke up early, so I thought
Hare
I'd make
Krishna.
something. I made enough
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for your time and detailed explanation. We are so much grateful for your patience and tolerance despite the inconsistency and improper attendance of the students. We look forward to having you again when we start a new section. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Thank you,
All the
Maharaj.
devotees, thank you very much.
So one chakarpata rubias chakripa sunduba sevascha patitana pavashnebio Vaishnavio namo nama. Ananta Kuti Vaishnava Brinda ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Our